Yeah.
Main slate, Joe. Who is your cash game pitchers?
I mean, there's pretty much three that you're going to be considering at SP1s. It's going to be either Patrick Corbin, Mr. Bieber, or Syndergaard. Probably throw out Bieber in that one right there. Just he'll be more of a GBP option if you'd like him. Corbin, I kind of like the most just because he's at home. He's facing the Rockies, who don't hit very well on the road. They strike out like the most on the road, so it's just all pointing to them. And then Syndergaard, if you want to go just a little bit less, Syndergaard for 10,000 on DK, and I think he's the same price on FanDuel. I like him too. I mean, he's facing the Padres all year. We have been playing good pitching against the good right-handed pitching against the Padres, so there's no reason not to stop tomorrow. But slate dependent, I think I lean Corbin right now just a hair more, just because Syndergaard hasn't shown I think Corbin will go 7 or 8 innings, but Syndergaard can get pulled after 5 or 6 innings, and you hoping you're gonna get the QS.
I understand that. I agree with you. I think they're both acceptable. I'm not quite sure which way I'd lean just yet for cash, but I get you with Corbin completely. The Rockies against lefties, away from cores, they do strike out a ton. Corbin has some really nasty strikeout stuff, obviously, and you got to figure with Freeland on the hill for the Rockies, you're just looking at Corbin you're probably likely to get the win. Freeland's been the worst pitcher in baseball, so it's it all kind of lines up that extra money you're spending for Corbin, it seems like it could actually get you somewhere. Whereas with Thor, awesome matchup. He's at home. Everything looks great. The issue, of course, is Syndergaard. His strikeouts are inconsistent. He doesn't always go for them. It's the Padres. Maybe he gets a couple extra. Plus, Denilson Lamet is pitching for the Padres, who's also a good pitcher. You don't necessarily know how the Mets are going to respond. So I think that it's either or. It's really, really tight right now. I'm not quite sure which way I'd lean, but I think they're both awesome plays in general anyway. And I would also agree with you that I think I would reserve Bieber for tournaments just because the Blue Jays have been one of those teams you just kind of don't know what you're going to get that day. But I'm with you. I think it's definitely between those two. What about SP2? Do you see maybe a cheaper option for DraftKings players to use, or do you think that you find a way to go double pay up?
SP2, I think on DK, the guy that I kind of like stand out, I think, would be Zach Gallen. He's 7,800. He's facing the White Sox. We know the White Sox strike out a lot. And I watched him pitch last week against the Dodgers, and he held them down in about 5 or 6 innings. So to me, it's Zach Gallen. When I'm looking at the prices down there in cash, that's the guy I'd probably go to.
I think that makes sense, dude. I mean, and if not Gallen, it's probably just the other side to Ronaldo. And I'm not a Ronaldo guy, but Miami's been striking out at an amazing clip. And so have the White Sox. So, yeah, I'm with you. I prefer Gallen. Definitely prefer Gallen. I think he's an actual good pitcher. I don't think Ronaldo Lopez is actually that good. But I think either or would do. And I think that Gallen is my preferred option. I think that's pretty straightforward. Let's talk about tournaments, Joe. We talked about Bieber maybe being a potential tournament option as opposed to Syndergaard or Corbin, who we like for cash. Do you still like those other two ahead of him, or do you like Bieber a little bit more for tournaments? Where are you at with that?
I'd have to break into that a little bit more, I think, because on DK he's right in the middle of the two of them, so I'm not really kind of in FanDuel he's pretty much the same as Syndergaard, so he's been really good, but his last start he kind of fell off the wagon just a little bit. Oh, yeah. So I'm kind of, the shine is a little bit off the bloom is off the rose a little bit when he played Kansas City last week. So he's going to want to get back on track. He's in, a hitter's ballpark in Toronto. Today there was a 2-1 game, so it was, Bauer was fine too, but Bauer didn't do great, did he? How was he today? Was he okay?
He put up in the 30s on DraftKings. He had a really good game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know. I probably just stick with. I would Bieber just because of ownership was the only reason why I would pick him over the other two.
Right.
I mean, because I think the other two will just garner more ownership.
Right. No, I understand that. I agree with you completely. I do think Bieber's going to come in the least owned. And I also agree that it's something we have to look into. As of right now, it's still kind of hard for me to get off of Syndergaard or Corbin for him. And he's like in between them, so you know the ownership's going to be low. He's like on DraftKings, he's literally in between Syndergaard and Corbin. But I agree with you. I think the ownership's going to be pretty low. Strikeout wise, we know the Blue Jays strike out with the best of them, so that's something I have to dig in on tomorrow. What are some of the other tournament options that you see?
I mean, on FanDuel, to me, Gallon at 6,800 is just too cheap.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's going to be way popular on FanDuel tomorrow. I've had 2 really good nights. The last 2 days I've played, and I've been paying down for pitching, and he just sticks out tomorrow. I mean, like a sore thumb. I mean, if you look at it, just he's facing the White Sox. It's just he's pitched really, really well, I think. And he's 6,800. Obviously we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that much. He hasn't gone more than 5 innings, but I just have a feeling like they tried to have him go 6 innings last game. And he gave up 1 earned run, struck out 5. He almost had a QS. So I think he can get that tomorrow. And at 6,800, looking at the other options around there, I probably would go with him. Maybe you could maybe look at Lamet just because of the Mets and stuff like that. But he hasn't shown much in his 3 starts either. So, and Reynaldo Lopez, oh man, I'd rather stack. But there's nobody else really. I don't really see anybody else. It's like I said, 8-game slate. There's not much else. The price on Tehran is too much, I think. But he's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't go there. I like Gallon. I like Lopez. There's too many other guys below him I like. And then of course I do like Thor and Corbin. As of right now, those are the 4 that kind of stand out to me strong. I think Jordan Lyles could be worth a look. He pitched well against Philly. He gets the Cardinals, who are trying to wake up, but I think with the injuries they have, they just don't have the talent quite yet. So it's a risk, and I don't know if we need him because, I know I'm not a huge Lopez guy, but I am big on following recent trends. And Miami, albeit they did put up a lot of runs against Kobe today, eventually. He had 4 Ks through the first 3 innings. He was on pace to kind of cruise. He had 1 inning where he fell apart. And I do think Ronaldo Lopez is a better strikeout pitcher than he is. So right now, I want to attack Miami because they're striking out a ton. I want to attack the White Sox. I like that game for pitching. I like Syndergaard. I like Corbin. Right now, that's kind of where I am. Tomorrow, we will see where the umpires are, see if there's any edge anywhere else, see what lineups come out. But as of right now, I'm comfortable with those 4, especially Gallon. On FanDuel, like you said, he's going to be pretty popular. That's pretty wild to have him that cheap. That's pretty crazy.